and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, all. Thanks everybody for coming. We got some visitors today. Very nice. On the public sign up, there's some sheets back there. If anybody would like to chat with us and things there tonight, back there, and please sign up on that. Then you can do the fifth one, announcements.
So first announcement is we have the OSBA annual convention coming up November 9th through the 11th. So if you're interested in attending that, you need to let Sandra know so she can get you registered. That is going to be in Portland again this year. And I will be presenting on that Friday. I think at noon is what time I present with a panel of other superintendents talking about board superintendent relations, kind of like what I did the summer conference. And so probably need to know sooner rather than later so we can get you registered for that. And I don't have any other announcements at this time.
Very good. Approval of minutes.
Yeah,
Ready to look at them?
I did, and there's just a couple minor corrections. I just wanted to point out. One is under working session, we need to add Jenny Jones versus Maria Caballero right off of who was here. And then there's just a sentence that needs to be fixed down here after the bullet points on 2.0. There was a brief discussion on the group that it's good to see growth compared to last year. It was mentioned that the board was relatively young, and then we should just insert, but have since learned a lot, period, instead of the rest of it. I did. I gave that to Sandra, but I just want to make sure that the board is aware of the changes as well. I'm requesting, and then I'll just make a.
I would get there at that board meeting on that Tuesday night. I let Sandra know.
Okay.
There's members included. But
So I moved that the Jervis District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the minutes from August 22nd, 2023. Was there something else on there? That was it. Yeah. Oh, and the working session, August 29th, 2023. The regular and executive session, August 17th, 2023. Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public forum. So I must read this in the fantastic old stuff here. Public forum. The public participation in a board meeting, statements by the members of the public should be brief and concise, as chairperson may, at his or her discretion, establish a time limit to discuss on discussion on or oral presentation by the visitor of any topic. Speaker may offer objective criticisms of the school operations and programs, but the board will not hear any complaints concerning individual school personnel. The chairperson will direct complaints to the appropriate means of board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. At this time, members of the public are invited to present concerns to the board. And we have Ashton,
Who is our student body?
started body president. Very good.
I'm gonna have two separate things. This is gonna be one is like the public, and then I'm gonna have my
Thank
head of student
Okay.
representation. This is gonna be me from the public. So I'm gonna be representing the journalism club today, and we are working on a certain article right now. We were speaking of it, and there are lots of rumors floating around involving the termination of Mr. Gabor. And journalism thought it would be really beneficial if we went to you guys and asked for the official cause of him to resign and stuff, because there are lots of like very nasty rumors going around right now. And we would want to put an end to that because they are getting really out of hand, and it's just causing a lot of like unnecessary like conflict between the students. And we figured if we released it in our upcoming newspaper, it would be really beneficial. That's all I have to say on that.
So we will get that somehow too.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Chase.
Well, beginning of the year. Especially today. Couple things. One is I wanted you to be aware that Officer Carlos Camacho, he's one of our Hispanic officers, well speaks Spanish, is being assigned to the SSO, the Student Success Officer. And again, our premise is, and the purpose is that what can we do as a police department to help support the school, help support you, and help support the students being successful. And and so Officer Camacho hasn't been to official National Association of School Resource Officer schools, so we're kind of learning as we go. And one of those is my policy, and I think it's the best recommendation, that we always include parents. We had an incident this afternoon where some driving was occurring and a student fell off of a car and happened to be right in front of me and the other officer. And anyway, but I want you to know as a board that we try to include parents up front on every situation. And so the school staff, Andrew's staff did a great job, got a hold of parents came down there so we could explain that. So those are some of the things that we're kind of training as we go. As you probably know, Officer Camacho is also the soccer coach. So it could be a better opportunity for him to mold in with some of the students and develop that rapport and relationships, because that's what the position is all about. And I've already had good comments from the principals of him, being at lunch and being present and being very visible. So I wanted you to be aware of that change. The second thing I just wanted to know, I know Danny talking about it, we've been talking about it for some time. In fact, Diana Barch is in the audience. And we've talked about over the years trying to get all those buses lined up. And so I was able to take the time today to come this afternoon, observe the kids getting on the bus and all the buses there. And there's definitely a need for the sidewalk to be extended. Don't know if the city's going to get that. I think Superintendent Stevens and our new pro tem interim and our public works director will be meeting with her next week. And we're able to connect the Safe Schools Street Grant person with Pro Tem Morgan, and they've been talking about, you're talking several $100,000 projects that maybe the city and the school district could do a better job of partnering together to maybe fund some additional, like we did with the signs, flashing signs and the sidewalks out there. So I wanted to update you on that as well. And the last thing, I just want you to know that anytime there's a question or concern about anything regarding the police department's involvement that you have, whatever, please feel to give me a call, give Danny a call. It's one of my top priorities for the community. I don't think there's anything more important than our kids, making sure they're safe. There have been a number of challenges that principals and teachers have had to deal with this year. Some extreme behaviors, I would say. And I just want to say that from my perspective, watching the videos and talking to the officers, you got a staff and principals that are doing an outstanding job dealing with some very extremely difficult temper tantrums and threatening behaviors, even from very younger children. And it's extremely challenging for law enforcement with the police department to deal with that. But from my perspective and looking at those things, I think you got a lot to be proud of with Mr. Helms, Mrs. Miller, and Mrs. Johnson. I called you Miller for some reason. And Andrew's doing a great job. He's got his hands full right now, as you know. And then Wells Dusty is the grade school. I just been a lot going on this first couple weeks, but they are doing a very good job, very professional. I wanted to come and accommodate them for their great job. So any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so
Thank you
much.
very much.
So we can ask the Zoom audience if they have
Yes.
public comment, and they're able to raise their hands, Henry, and
Do we have it?
ask them to raise. their
Oh,
hand
if there's anybody out there, just raise your hand somehow on the little
virtually.
virtually, and we will get to you. Somebody there? Well, we got a lot of people on there right now.
And then we'll give them a few minutes or seconds, but For members of the virtual public, when you go to make a comment, you will need to state your name and your address since you're not here to sign in.
Oh, yes, thank you. That'd be a good thing to have written down. That I can remember to say the important words.
Okay, well,
All right.
All right.
Very good. Onward. Yeah, onward.
Student council, you're back up again.
You're back up, brother.
So hello, everybody. I'm Ashton Sondergren. I just introduced myself, but I'll do it again. I'm the ASB Vice President here at the Jervis High School, and I just got some stuff to catch you folks up on. So as far as homecoming goes, we're going to be starting our decorations on October 1st, and that's going to be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're going to be setting up our hallways per usual. Homecoming itself is going to be on the 7th, and I believe that's going to be out Mount Angel. That's not confirmed yet. It's not on my list, but that is where we're probably going to send it, or it's going to be in the gym. Not too sure yet. And then we are working on games and themes for each day of the Spirit Week. So far, I know we're going to be doing construction day, and I think the main goal right now is we're trying to get the anything but a backpack day passed again, but that was a little chaotic last year. So that's probably not going to happen. And yeah, so and then the actual like overall theme for the homecoming dance is going to be Vegas, because it's just crazy and it's fun to do.
Vegas.
And then, if you weren't aware, Mrs. Later is our new leadership advisor. That happened over the summer. We do have an opportunity to partner with Bauman Farms. 6 weeks starting this weekend, we're going to have kids going out there volunteering. We're asking for 12 to 15 kids each day, and they're going to go out there and raise some money for their designated class. Clubs and sports teams are being offered money, such as like football, soccer teams, to take kids, sending them out there and getting $1,000 towards their program. And yeah, and then that's it for Bauman's. And as far as school volunteer opportunity goes, leadership is providing opportunities for students to earn community service hours. Freshmen are required 10 hours this year, sophomores are required 10 hours, juniors 15, and seniors 15 as well. And leadership is providing opportunities to gain the community service hours through things such as concessions, field painting, all sorts of things, just helping out in the hallways, setting up posters, all sorts of things, yard work, etc. And that is all I have for you folks today. I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Who gets to go first?
All right.
Thank you for having us. Excited to share just a few updates about Jervis Elementary School. And I guess first off, want to introduce our new staff. And so we have a massive staff in such a small district. And as we shared last time, we have 22 staff that are new to their roles or new to the building, including 8 classroom teachers who are new as well. But I don't think you could find a better staff. Who are committed, excited to be in Jervis, who are really passionate about teaching, really compassionate to our students. On our t-shirt, I think what's kind of driving us this year is this idea that Jervis Elementary School is a place where each person belongs. And we didn't say every is generic. Each means you know the individual, you know their circumstances, you know their needs, you know their talents. And so what we're really striving to do this year is to connect with each person, each staff, each student, each family in really meaningful ways. Completely candid, we've been first responders for some really challenging student and family situations, but when you understand the trauma, the adversity that some of those students have been through, it's easy to have a lot of compassion and empathy for them. But again, I couldn't pick a better team to go through that with us. And so I just want to share just a few things that are happening. We were really striving to develop a culture at our school where every student feels a sense of safety and belonging. And so when you walk into every entrance to our school are those expectations of be safe,
be respectful, and be responsible. We, in our morning announcements, again, reiterate that, our school assemblies as well. But again, we want our school to be a place where we're really helping our students to be safe, to be respectful, to be responsible. Next, we had our first school assembly, and it was fun. We had great colors as a spirit day, and we did a variety of games, everything from the world's biggest game of Hungry Hungry Hippo, an epic game of dancing musical chairs, and then a hoop relay. But in between each of these games, we had some really powerful messaging. And I think the most powerful one was, we're talking about magical words, the most powerful words that can transform lives and change the world. And we had kids whisper to each other what they thought those words were. Those words were, we love you, we forgive you, and thank you. And we've gone out of our way in every interaction with our students to try to help them to feel that we genuinely love them. And that no matter the mistakes that we make, we talk about wonderful mistakes, that we all make wonderful mistakes, and that we'll always be very quick to forgive and to show grace. And then just that idea of the power of an attitude of gratitude. And so these are just things, again, that we're trying to instill in our students in all of our interactions with them, from big assemblies to morning announcements to our little exchanges in the hallways or in the office as well. And I think what's been really exciting, so we have, for example, our kinder team, we have 3 new classroom teachers, all entirely new, very diverse and divergent in their life experiences and personalities. They're amazing. It's a phenomenal team. First grade is very similar. We have 3 of the 4 are brand new to our building, new hires. Again, very different life circumstances, ages, what they bring from the profession, but just a phenomenal team. And so I feel honored that we've brought together, I think, just this amazing group of teachers who really genuinely are excited to be here. We have in the classroom also some phenomenal IAs. We have an IA assigned to each kinder classroom. They're bilingual, and that's made all the difference. We do have quite a few newcomers. In fact, during open house, we had more families just showing up during open house, and we were assigning teachers on the fly and walking them down to those classrooms. And those students and their families have no English. And so it is just incredibly helpful to have bilingual IAs in the building. It's just been a tremendous blessing for us. I think some of the things that are, I think, the most exciting in the school are some of the interventions that are happening. So in the reading intervention room, Cindy Smith has presented before. She's amazing. And we have 4 IAs in that room. We hired, of our 5 IAs that we hired this year, 4 of them are moms with kids in the school, and they are so invested. And they know the kids, they get the community, they're here. And in this intervention room, when you walk in there, there's 5 groups all happening simultaneously, level 2 to the kids with a very, it's a great, robust intervention program that they are delivering. And it's really exciting to walk in just to hear that hum of kids engaged. And just the positive interactions that those IAs and that teacher have with them, really getting kids some academic confidence in reading.
The next one is ELD interventions. So we have Raul Gomez and
Mercedes Cruz, and they have 1 IA. And we are doing a very similar EL model from last year with EL Achieve, but our 4th and 5th graders are doing actually an integrated ELD science approach, which has been amazing. Yesterday, I walked into the room. You've got Stephanie So, our new STEAM specialist, and Raul Gomez, our ELD specialist, geeking out on science. And I couldn't find 2 more professional, passionate educators than those 2. And what they're doing is going to be phenomenal. When we got science classes now being offered at the middle school, we got elementary kids who are now being immersed in incredible language and experiences, hands-on. We've got a STEAM grant that we spent down this week with some pretty amazing science equipment that we're going to get into the classrooms and into our after-school club. So just really excited for all of that. But again, I don't think you could pick a better ELD team than what we have. I just feel very, very blessed for that. In addition, this is the new role that we are so grateful for. And so it is a STEAM TOSA, a teacher on special assignment. Stephanie So just came right out of the classroom. She's incredibly talented. She is very organized and she's developing what the vision of this role is going to be. And so she's already teaching a 4th grade math class to help one of our blended classrooms. She's doing testing and math interventions. She's helping all of the ELD science integration. She's helping launch our after school clubs, which will be starting in a week. So just pretty phenomenal stuff that's happening. So I think a lot of the reading interventions and ELD interventions we're now going to start seeing that in science and in math too. So I think that's really exciting. And then we have a new, what we call a SPED teacher. We call her a learning specialist, Stacy Helm, straight out of the classroom. And she just brings a level of positivity, and encouragement that just is amazing. So you walk into that room, completely imagine the space. And again, you see kids in there who are excited to be there. And just their level of engagement is just remarkable. And I credit a lot of that to Stacy, the energy that she brings in. And just, you can tell she really, really cares about the kids. So just, I think, really proud of all these academic interventions that are happening. Again, it's for each student to meet them where they're at. And some fun things that are happening, because I'll say elementary school is just an awesome amount of fun. We have the Woodburn Bookmobile coming every Thursday, parking out in front of our school. And our first week, we just channeled every parent who picked up their kid right to that library, and they were beyond excited. Kids were getting their library card, checking out books. They had a whole box full of free giveaways outside. Mike from the Woodburn Library is just absolutely amazing. So that was really exciting. Again, we're just trying to get kids excited about reading, get books in their hands any way we possibly can. We have our after-school clubs that are launching, and some of these are the same clubs that we've offered before. Some of these are being reimagined. So we have, starting in a week, we have an art club, board games, which includes chess, which is back on high demand, digital photography, drama, Legos, leadership, Minecraft science, and kids are really, really excited about this one. Yes, Minecraft is a tool for learning science. Robotics, sewing, soccer, violins, really excited for that. For our younger students, we also have in there STEAM exploration, which is going to bring in elements of robotics and coding and other science activities as well. And I think for our students, like, this is probably one of the things that I'm most proud of. Again, the grant that Dr. Helms applied for that has afforded us this opportunity, I think has been a game changer for our kids just to be beyond excited. When I went around with those flyers, kids are like crawling out of their seats, so excited to get their flyers. The very next day they're coming in, one kid had it all wet, he's like, here, so excited. You could tell he'd been hanging on to that on the bus. He wouldn't have put in his backpack, he's just like, there. But just the kids are beyond excited for these clubs. And I'm just so grateful that we get to provide this opportunity for them. And then last is these family activities. Every month we have these activities to bring our family into the building, and they're awesome. We're gonna have a literacy night here in a week and a half. And this is not a sit and listen kind of a literacy night. This is a bring your pajamas and your plushies. And they're gonna be designing bookmarks and character puppets. They're gonna be writing and illustrating their own books. We're gonna have a readathon corner. We're gonna have kids picking out books for their parents to read, books for the parents to pick up for their kids to read. We're gonna have a local book vendor there, massive amounts of giveaway. It's just gonna be an awesome night. And again, we just want kids to be excited to read. And then throughout the rest of the year, we're gonna have bingo nights and a winter performance with our choir, our violins jumping on that too. The family board game night is awesome fun. And that was one of the greatest activities. Families went home and like, we need to do this more often with our kids. And that was a great takeaway. Yeah, absolutely, you do. And we gave a lot of games away for families to take home with them. A coding night, the STEAM fair was, I don't want to say mess, I want to say epic. It was epic. We had every staff member there. It was just crazy to turn out. We had 17 stations going on throughout the school. It was awesome fun. We have a family art night, a student talent show, and the family field day is just, it's a great fun. We do the field day during the day for the students, then we bring all the families back that night. Dunk tanks and bounce houses and monkey bridges, the whole 9 yards, and it's just a lot of fun. And so I guess just the short of it is, we are blessed to have an amazing staff in the elementary school. And they really are gonna do everything they can to serve these kids, to connect with the families. And I think that's something the school board can be really proud of the staff over at the elementary school. So just share that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Looking great.
Yeah, everything's looking awesome. Hey, you had good participation from parents on those nights, did you not?
We did, yes.
So,
At the beginning, we had good turnout, and by the end,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
sure if you're gonna start with bang and keep on going. So very good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm exhausted. I'm listening to all that. I'm like, oh, look at elementary school. Wow, okay, so middle school. Okay, so first thing, we'll jump back here for a second. So if you have driven down the street, I added a GMS crowd. Took a little longer to put in than I thought it was going to, but it turned out really nice. Just something to just stand out, because we really want to bring that pride to a middle school. We might be small, but we're proud of what we have and who we are. So this was the moving up day that we did. This was the very first one that we did. It was on August 24th. We had approximately 45-ish, 50 sixth graders that showed up for that. We had T-shirts for them. That mural behind is a mural that the leadership did last year. The same young lady who was an eighth grader last year that designed the Wolverine on the front of our building designed this. They put it up on the In Focus, traced it, and then the leadership class painted it. So that's inside the gym. It's a great addition in there. So that is part of the sixth grade. These are activities from that moving up day. So spike ball, that's something new. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not. I think the volleyball team should be like borrowing these from us. Think of it like a small, I call it like a trampoline. Sits about 6 inches off the ground, which is what you see right there. They have small like playground balls that they spike, that they hit down, and you have a partner. So it's 2 against 2 that you're spiking and hitting it back and forth to each other. A lot of running around, a lot of expending of energy in a very short amount of time. So that was on the left-hand side. Now we have those games that they can now be used in PE. So you can use them outside, inside. So we have like about a dozen of them so that we can use them in PE. On the right-hand side, that is their first try at their lockers. So it's really interesting though, because this was on our moving up day. And then a week later, the school started. And the biggest comment I got was, wow, these sixth graders are catching on to this very quickly. Just having that half an hour there playing with it, having adults, and then a week later having them, they caught on very, very quickly to it. This is also moving up day. So the top picture, we had a scavenger hunt where they had clues and they had little map that they went around into the gym, also even over to introduce them to the cafeteria and go through our hallway to which teachers were where they were located. Boy, they loved that. So we definitely need to expand on that for next year. That was definitely the winner for the students. And in the right, you can see they have a little card that they're trying to follow and working together to try to get the answers. Yeah, that was definitely a winner. So if you come into our school, that is the main entrance there on the left. Now painted it green, so it's more welcoming. We have plants out there. And then the office window there is on the left, and right next to that is a big wall. And we put that sign, it's a little deceptive right there. That is about 6 feet wide.
Wow.
And it has welcome in English and then all the different languages. The tricky part was it didn't have Russian. I thought it was Russian. It looked like Russian to me, but we have a new office secretary, Sasha, who speaks Russian, who immediately went, you know, there's not Russian on there. We have a machine called a Cricut. It's a great invention. And Becky later, I'm like, could you please write welcome in Russian, which she did. You probably can't pick it out, but she did it. And we stuck that on and then we painted over it. I was not going to make it permanent until we had it in Russian. I felt that was really important. So now we have welcome in Russian too. It is on there. This is our staff room, which was a classroom. We painted it. It is a huge thing to our staff. So I just made a list there, just things that it's being used for. The obvious is eating lunch. We have all our staff meetings in that room now. It's also just a place to kind of just chill out. I'll be honest, I'm leaving my office and going in there, and with staff and without staff, even if it's just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's just that to get away and go someplace that's calm. Outside specialists. I did not know until I was in this position how many outside specialists come in for meeting with 1 or 2 or a handful of students. Our small school, we honestly really didn't have any place for them to go, and sometimes had to borrow the officer's small room when he wasn't there because there was no place to put them. So they can also just go in here and use this room. Staff celebrations, we usually once a month for like birthdays and stuff, they have potlucks, staff bring potlucks in. We now have a place we can actually do that. And then PLC, that's personal learning communities. Those are like the science teachers, they can get together and meet there. Our 6th grade team can get together and meet there. it sounds crazy, but we really didn't have that space to do that in. Yes, we did go in the classroom and yes, we still do, but there's also this space so we can have more people come together. It's really, really nice. And kudos to Julie Powers because she was the one that tracked down the furniture, tracked down for us. Other than the big painting on the wall that I got at Goodwill, I was like, score. Yeah, it was all really Julie. She did an amazing job. The cell phone policy. Mentioned this last time I was here. Just to kind of go through again, the students, when they arrive, because other than sixth grade, seventh and eighth don't have access to their lockers for about the first anywhere from 5 to 15. And we actually have students showing up like a half an hour early. But it's really fun because they're not on their phones. At the first meeting, I said, yeah, you guys have your phones, but I want you to keep it in your pocket. And guess what? They are. It's really fun to talk to. I go out once in a while, but Rudy Silva, who's out there all the time, he's like, Tony, we don't have an issue. I don't even have to ask them to put it away then, and they have it on them. When they get time, then go to their locker. First thing, and we remind them, not all the time, but once in a while, put your phone in your locker. Just remember to do that. There was one time I was talking to a 7th grade student. He works in the cafeteria, got him kind of off his schedule. He went into his classroom. I happened to go into that classroom and immediately, like, his eyes got about that big around it. He was like, I go put my phone away. I forgot to put it there. Yes, go do that. And he went out there and did that. They cannot use their phone at lunch. We don't have any issues. And even when we have reward days, which we've had small ones for attendance, we'll have one again tomorrow during our homeroom time. There's not even a question about phones. They don't even ask about them. They can take their phones out of their locker at the end of school. That also means for sports. So the kids that are in volleyball, football, soccer, yes. And I'll be over in the gym, and they're like, can we have our phone now? Yes, you can have your phone out now. So they're very respectful. They're following it. The 3 strikes, and we have only had about 6 phones taken away at this point, which I think is pretty good for 3 weeks, and it's all been a 1 strike. And 1 strike means that we take it to the office, we keep a log, and then they come down at the end of the day and retrieve it. And it's amazing. There's not an issue. But you see the phone, and if it's even in their pocket, that rectangle thing, a phone in your pocket, they roll their eyes and they hand it to me. It has been amazing. It really, really has.
Nothing from the parents?
Not a peep from the parents,
Right.
not a peep.
Right.
It was interesting standing in at recess one day, like it was week 1, and I was standing next to Maria Torres Tapes, one of our amazing IAs. And she was like, you know, Tony, I didn't realize how much they were on their phones until now I see how much they're playing and talking to each other. She goes, you didn't really realize it until now. Yeah, it's very cool. We have sports going on right now. We have 4 big sports. We have football, soccer, and volleyball going on. And then the shoes are, we actually have a cross-country team now for middle school. Last year, we didn't have any. I think we just had a young lady last week join. So I think we're up to 5 or 6 on cross-country. So we have a total of around 50 students that are out for sports. That's awesome. Coming up, we have a reward trip. Students don't know about this yet, so Brantley back there. So on February 15th, the middle school, and I understand actually the high school is going on that same day. We have a reward trip scheduled. We did this prior to COVID, and then it got stalled because of COVID. I'm thinking positive, I have 149 seats set aside. I have a little under 200 students, and criteria will be determined. I have a site council meeting scheduled for next week, but in the past, it has been A's and B's to go, and no behavior referrals and attendance. I can't remember what percentage we have done in the past, but we will be talking about that and getting that criteria and all of these flyers up very soon. And by the way, why it's February 15th, that is right after the end of first semester. So that tells you that the grades have to be good for the entire semester to be allowed to go to this. And it's been a great start to the year. It really, really has. Yeah, kids are doing great, staff is doing great. We're getting into our routines. It's gonna be an awesome year.
Great
Question?
Nope, I just want to say I'm so happy about the phone
phone,
policy.
yeah.
Yeah, I
100%.
think that is just gonna improve things so much.
Yeah,
So
I
good
think
job.
it's huge. Thank
Yeah.
you. I really thought the eighth grade, as the eighth grade grumble about everything, there hasn't been a peep, hasn't been a problem at all. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, you're up and Creighton will share the screen for you.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Andrew.
So, welcome to your September, Jervis High School School Board presentation. Change my screen a little bit. You can move the slide to the next one. Yeah. So first thing I want to talk about is, we got after school clubs and activities. Those are going to start next week. I will say that it's probably the most, we've actually ever had since I've been there. We're only doing Tuesdays and Thursdays. Looking at that list, and I don't know how well you guys can see it, but about half of that stuff is academic based or college and career ready based. So we have the fun clubs like, you know, drama and Dungeons and Dragons. Aguilas is gonna host a club after school, the Inkling, which is the journalism club, but we're also doing homework help twice a week. And then we're also gonna host a eighth period through the PAWS alternative program. So Benjamin Poff, who's our new PAWS teacher, has graciously offered to host 2 days a week to help kids with credit recovery. So we have a lot going on with after school. Rita, transportation, they're figuring out busing. I'm sure it'll be fine, but that's all happening next week. And then there's actually one club on there that's not mentioned. Miss Garcia, our new Spanish teacher, is going to host a travel club and is hoping to take a number of students to Spain in a year from now.
Whoa.
Which will be fantastic. So, and Bonnie Atwood kind of did this years ago, but she's kind of taken that over, but wants to make a club around it. So it's going to be great. And then Upward Bound on there is Miss Oropez's club. But she wants to have kids coming after school and that kind of thing. You can go ahead, Creighton. So I just asked teachers to throw at me, what are students learning in class right now? So this is what I got. I literally just copy and paste it. And so if you can scroll to the top. There you go. So I heard from geometry using the new math curriculum. They're working on line segments, English common application essay writing specifically for seniors. PE Tucker wanted me to let you know it's actually not $10,000, but he got $30,000 of new equipment donated for the weight room, which is great. The art class is working on having students create custom shirts as a fundraiser for the school. The PAWS Alternative Education Program, Mr. Poff said students have already been earning credits to make up those they may have missed or failed in the past. That includes over the summer. We're in the process of adding a GED testing center at Jervis High School. He's already got the paperwork going on that, which is something we've been trying to do for the last couple of years. So that'll be great once we get that going. And Avid seniors have all created their common application accounts so they can begin applying for post-secondary schools. In Spanish, Ms. Garcia is working on a mini unit on memorizing Spanish-speaking countries and capitals, using reading comprehension strategies and that sort of thing. And then that CTE, that's from Lindsay McCarter. Construction Technologies is currently focusing heavily on OSHA safety in the classroom and currently offering credits through Shemeketa. So those are just a few of the teachers that I emailed today and asked for just a blurb of what's going on. So pretty good for the third week of school, in my opinion. And then college and career. So what you have there, what you're looking at is on the right-hand side, you're going to see a list of people who are going to be visiting Jervis High School in the coming couple months. Those are the dates, and those are the organizations that are going to be coming in and talking to students. On the left, what you have, and I spoke about this last time, is Find Your Grind, which is the brand new career inventory program that the district has purchased. And students, well, teachers will be trained on that program next week, and we're going to be rolling that out by the end of the month. And it's not just a career inventory, it's also a personality and interest inventory. So it's really trying to match students with their personality, their interests, what they want to do in their future, instead of just asking, what do you want to do in your future? I mean, it's trying to take it a step above that. So anyway, that's what that is. And then this next one is all about our formative assessments we have going on. So Alex is for math, iReady is for reading and writing. We're almost done. Alex is pretty much almost completely finished. iReady is taking a little bit more time, but I have been told freshmen are almost 100% done. Sophomores should be done by the end of the week. I did not get an answer on juniors and seniors, but I think they're probably at the same point in time for that. And throughout the year, teachers will be using that data to inform their instruction. We have at least 5 or 6 times throughout the school year where we're going to give all teachers that data and put them in teams and have them review kind of where our students are at, specifically with their math, reading, and writing skills. Class advisor meetings are happening tomorrow. So Miss Lader, Miss Orschel, Miss Oropeza, and then also Miss Moreno will be meeting with the freshman class, sophomore class, junior class, senior class, trying to talk about fundraising opportunities. You guys have heard we're bringing community service back for students as a requirement. So we're really trying to ramp that up as much as we can. The goal is always to raise as much money for the class. The seniors are the most expensive. And so it's kind of, let's start at the freshman level and try to get them there. So that first meeting is going to happen tomorrow during advisory to try to brainstorm with the students. You know, let's get this done. Let's try to get it going. And then, as we all know, student-led conferences are coming up way quicker than we realize they are, but that happens every year. October 11th, October 12th, we've already started scheduling in our advisory classes this week. We like to put it on the students to contact their parents and figure out a date and time that works for them. For student-led conferences, our expectation is that all students have a conference period in the fall. And so we're going to continue this throughout next week, trying to get them scheduled. What students will be reviewing at their conference is their transcript. Freshmen will have nothing on their transcript, as we know, but seniors are going to have a lot. Their ALEKS and their iReady scores will be shared to know their math and reading and writing level, their attendance at that point in time, which will only be about 6 or 7 weeks into the school year. And then also what I talked about earlier, the Find Your Grind assessment, whatever the result of was, that will also be shared at the conference. And then Tony already kind of talked about the Blazer game. That's a partnership with GMS and GHS. We've already started advertising. It's going to be Trailblazers versus Minnesota Timberwolves, February 15th. Time to be determined. The criteria we've decided at the high school is that you have to have Cs or better, no behavior issues, and 95% attendance for semester 1 if you want to go. But we have already locked it down with the Trailblazers, and it's an incentive trip. All the students should know about it by now, but we have flyers posted around the school, and we've been advertising it in advisory classes. And then just general challenges and successes so far at Jervis High School. I heard Ashton talk about anything but a backpack day. That would be the largest challenge because I was there that day 2 or 3 years ago. And we had lawnmowers in the hallway. So I think there's more to come on what the criteria would be for that. Just generally, we're really bringing out a lot with staff this year. There's a lot we're trying to roll out into advisory. And it's been a challenge trying to fit all of that in. But it's also a good thing because we got to get the ball rolling on a lot of things. It's been a challenge having students participate in school spirit, which we know has been an ongoing issue. But we're going to continue working on that, especially this year, because we got to get it going. Been a challenge for me getting into classrooms, but that is a promise I made to the staff, is that I would do that. And I'm being very cognizant about not burning out staff too much. I heard somebody give compliments to Becky Later earlier. I think that was Tony. Becky Later has been doing a lot of things for both Tony and I's building, and she deserves a number of accolades, especially for the last week or so. A lot of staff have stepped it up at Jervis High School. Becky Later being one. I'm also going to throw kudos to Samantha Palmer, who's helped put together some presentations for me in regards to the new evaluation framework that's getting rolled out. So those are some challenges. Now to the successes. Jervis High School is on the right track. We got a lot going on this year. There's a lot of new pieces. There's a lot of new things to figure out. It's going to be a puzzle, but we are 100% on the right track. Staff camaraderie and morale has been very good. And we had a staff meeting yesterday. Everyone was in good spirits. And so that's been a really, really good thing. Like I said, people are stepping it up. Our motto for the year is making this house a home. And I do truly believe that that is a message that is being lived every day at Jervis High School, at least among the staff. And so the next challenge or step would be, let's get the students involved in that as well. And then another great success we have is we've hired some really amazing staff members this year. Benjamin Poff, Elizabeth Obendorf for ELD has been amazing. Benjamin Poff's alt ed, and Madeline Crabtree, who's going to eventually change her name to Kramer, who's also working in the alt program, has been really, really great. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys.
Thank
Any
you so much.
questions?
And from me.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, now Dr. Helm.
I was gonna make some sort of joke about like next slide and then pause. But I only have one slide, so I can't really make that joke. As if I'm the one that forgot to advance slides. I'll move relatively quick for the sake of brevity, and I know that my board reports tend to be more than thorough, and I apologize for that, but there's a lot of information in the packet about what's going on with the different buckets within the student services department. Those are most of the buckets up there. Sometimes it feels like, a choose your own adventure game, except I'm not choosing my adventure on any given day. It's just whatever happens to be the issue du jour. But right now, special education, middle school staff, high school staff have already received professional development training from me. I think elementary is next week. Just going over some of the really important Senate bills that passed this summer, 819, 756, 256, that are all just impacting business as usual in some extent. 819, which I've been briefing you on since the spring. That's the abbreviated school day one that's coming with a number of complicated steps. Just the board's aware we are very much on top of it. We're going to meet all initial compliance deadlines. We've already had all of the initial parent meetings for students that are on abbreviated days and received their consent. And so for the sake of at the very least, me breathing easy that we are on top of 819, which is the big thing that is just giving anxiety across the board, like we're on top of it. And so we're just briefing staff across the board on what they need to know, takeaways, those kinds of things. Special education, you could see two pictures here. This one right here is our elementary FLC classroom. We've got about 12 kiddos in that room this year. Of the 12, I want to say about 9 of them are kinder through second. So it is a busy room. And it remains since day one, maybe one of my favorite places to go in the entire district. So I love those kids. I love that staff. They do a tremendous job. It is truthfully, everybody has a busy job and everybody is time poor and everybody's challenged with what they're presented on a day-to-day basis. But I would say that the FLC rooms in both the elementary and the middle school, high school, I mean, they truly, we need to lift them up and applaud them. Those are incredibly difficult situations at times. They are our students who sometimes need us the most to be their advocates. But those teachers are incredible with them. And so I applaud them. And then the picture's small, but right here is Haley Warren. She's one of our paraprofessionals. Tomorrow is her last day. She resigned. She's found a job just closer to home. She's got a young kiddo. And so it is a loss for our school, the elementary school. It's a blessing for whoever is able to pick her up in whatever capacity. But she has just been a tremendous presence down there. So I want to at least give her a public thank you for her time. And then right here is the absolutely irreplaceable and wonderful Mr. Andre Brown. And part of his morning is escorting Aaron and Adderson, who are both part of our transition program. So students in the high school FLC that have since received their attendance and participation certificate and are now 18 plus to 21, building life skills, doing those kinds of things. Every single day, these three are walking from the high school all the way to the elementary school, district office, middle school, and back, delivering mail, going into offices. Andre is just truly fantastic in terms of when those young men are interacting, helping them, look in their eyes, shake hands if you're feeling comfortable, introduce yourself, like those kind of things. And it's a real joy to see all three of them out and about and interacting with everybody in the school community, walking the sidewalks, doing those kind of things. And so you just feel really, they pass by my window every morning when I'm there, and I am very quick to run out there and say hi, because it's a breath of fresh air to see them doing what they're doing.
How's that gonna work during rainy days?
I bought them rain jackets.
Yellow, maybe yellow.
No, we went with the navy blue. As long as it's not pouring, they're gonna have rain, jackets and umbrellas, and they're still gonna do it. And
Okay.
when it's,
For their mail, put it all.
yep, they've got it all. And when it's really pouring down rain, we'll probably consult with Philip on how we do that when it's really bad. Maybe we'll let them have his car and they can drive.
Yeah.
Have the district van.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we'll figure it out. And
Yeah, right now it's pretty nice. You could walk back and forth.
yeah, no, I mean, all three of them are getting their steps in,
Yeah.
which is terrific. Yeah.
That's all.
Lots of stuff going on, early learning for our preschool. I think I even put it in there. In 2 years, we have gone from a site that has 18 preschool promise slots to now we have 47. We're the single largest preschool promise site in the Polk Marion County area. So Salem Kaiser has more, but it's spread out among multiple sites. Woodburn has more, but spread out among multiple sites. We are the single largest single site for preschool promise slots in the area. And I think that's incredibly something to be proud of. Because we are reaching out to our community and saying, We are here to serve you grades 3 or ages 3 and 4. In whatever capacity that you may be in. And so we are nearing, as those extra spots have been added this year, we are starting to near capacity on all of them. And those 3 rooms are absolutely buzzing. We have used that money to hire enough staff where we have 3 teachers per room, plus Beth Flores, who's the licensed program coordinator, the day-to-day coordinator. And they're just doing really good work. Helping those children with social emotional work and academic work and those kind of things. And so we're just about ready with the quotes. We're gonna, as lovely as that little white picket fence is out there, we're gonna actually put up a much taller, safer fence, just for the safety of the kids. So it's a lot harder for them to climb out and a lot less risk for somebody to reach in, just for the sake of the kiddos. And so we're still making a lot of facility improvements, but we're really proud of it. And so there's just a number of other things that are just really buzzing within student services. But the last thing I really wanted to highlight, wanted to share my thanks to Abby Fernandez as we brought up the student services building over there. We thought that instead of just putting up like hang in there kitty posters up on the walls that are just kind of generic, we said, why don't we find historical documents for Jervis and frame them and put them up and display them and anything we can find. And so we've got donations from members of the community of a full complete set of the Jervis Times newspaper from I think 1907. It's like this thick and it's like this big. And I mean, it's a full set and it's on display in there and it's in a shadow box. And I mean, you can read through it. And I mean, it really is a time capsule. Back then, if you had mail, the only way you knew is if you read the newspaper and they printed your name that said, come to the post office. The only way you knew you had mail. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it now, but it's an incredible thing. And this was one of the most, and so I asked Abby, I was like, you know, with City Hall's permission, can we borrow some things? Can we display them? Those, and we received all the permission. And so she started digging around in boxes. And some of the stuff that we found is just, I mean, it's incredible. So this is just one of the things. This is dated 1932, but this is the, as it says down here, this is the original layout of downtown Jervis from Samuel Brown of 1870.
Wow.
And so it's actually got legitimate pencil scribbles all over it of like trying to figure out it's you've got first, second, third, you've got the railroad track right here. It says RR with depot grounds. I mean, it's like, I mean, and so, I mean, this is legitimate paper that's almost 100 years old of original blueprint schematics of downtown Jervis. And we have several of these that are all displayed within that building. And I think the reason why we wanted to do this was because that's a building that's going to be used a lot for parent meetings and parent conferences and those kinds of things. But instead of these documents just sitting in a box, we thought that this was a tremendous way for us to be able to show the community that we respect the history of this community and that we want to be a part of this community. And so to be able to put up these documents and say, like, we're as equally proud of them as anybody that's lived in this community generational, and happy to display them. So I thought I just grabbed this one off the wall on my way in today. We'll very carefully bring it back after the board meeting, because the city is entrusting us quite a bit to keep these things safe. But I just thought this was a really neat document to share. So lastly, I'll just say for student health, she's just wrapped up her first week. We were able to hire Courtney Utter as our new district nurse. It was a loss for our district to lose Tracy Riches. It was equally a gain to find Courtney. After a week, she has already gone around to all the buildings, met all of the office staff, the administrators. She's already updating health management plans for students. She's meeting with students. She's making phone calls home. Grass does not grow under her feet. So she hit the ground running. She was a blessing for us to find. And Tracy has been wonderful, even though she's not on the job anymore, they call each other and ask and answer questions and get, so I feel like health issues throughout the district will continue to be addressed by students or addressed by her for our students, and she'll start providing training really soon on all sorts of different things that are necessary. But just a shout out to her that even just on the first week, we can already feel a positive presence from her. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Karen is not here. It's her anniversary. So I said she did not have to come to do the board report tonight. But if you have any questions about any of the financials, just send her an email and she'll be happy to answer those. Something I didn't include in my board report, I wanted to give you an update. I have Jory Ellis. She's our trainer for our administrators coming in on Tuesday. And each building administrator will be spending time with her and myself and Creighton in some buildings, doing teacher observations in classrooms that we've gotten prior approval to go in, and training our administrators in how to use the rubric for looking at teaching and learning. And so we'll be spending all day doing that. And then we're working on some training modules for our teachers who are requesting more training. So that is in process and we're getting going on that. So in my board packet, I had shared, or in my board report, I had shared several items, but I specifically wanted to just quickly address the roof update. You know, as I stated, that once we got into starting to, put the project together and doing the testing, it was determined that the high school roof over the gym was unsalvageable, if that's a word. It is not able to be restored. And so it will have to be replaced. So we have, we're hoping to get some consortium pricing on that, but so we're back to the drawing board on that again. And I don't know exactly when we'll have the quote for that. But we were really disappointed that that wasn't going to be able to work out for us. And so I think it serves as a prime example of what we're getting into if we're going to try and just repair things. Once you start ripping things out, you're going to find mold, dry rot, all sorts of things. So we're just thankful that we found out before we got going, and then we were in a worse of a predicament for that.
What was the last quote? Was it like two, three? I can't remember.
That restoration project was going to be $275,000.
Right, but if you were to replace the roof, what was the last quote?
Oh,
Which was like a year ago?
Yeah, it was for the entire roof.
Yes, please.
Was $2.7 million.
Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, so we're expecting like.
Well, yeah, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, it's going to be probably. I can't answer the question for sure. We'll have to just see what we can afford if the board decides to not go for a bond or whatever you decide. We'll have to. I would definitely encourage that if you're going to go for a bond, that you include the high school roof in part of that. So that was the unfortunate news with that. And we are still awaiting a quote on the installation of possible air conditioning in the high school gym and the shop at the high school, more ventilation, because we know we have some problems in there, and we'll use our final ESSER monies on that. They'll be getting an updated ESSER and integrated plan budget review by the November board meeting. So you'll have a handle on what's left of that money. So that's all I had for my reports. We have other things that we'll discuss later in the agenda with regard to the presentation, like that.
Board focus.
So on the board focus, thank you for giving us the draft standards that you provided. That was really helpful. I just wanted the board to be aware of these standards that are coming down the pike, because they were mentioned in Tracy Kramer's newsletter that was out recently. So I went and looked at those, and I just wanted the board to be aware, because I think there was going to be think the cutoff for comments was like in September or something. We're past that. I think I got this information a little bit later, but I'm not quite sure, how this is gonna work. Are they gonna pass these and then just incorporate them in? Cause I know they had like public comment that you could send in. What's the next phase for that?
So the State Board of Education met today. I don't know what happened today because I was in my own meetings and I know that there were going to be some revisions to the standards. I don't know what those proposed revisions were. So what happens is that once they adopt the standards, then they roll them out and then they give you a time frame for when school districts are supposed to adopt and begin implementation. We haven't been given that guidance yet, like how quickly it's expected. But you know, what I can assure you is that if there are, I would recommend two things. First, if you're going through the standards and there's things that you as a board are finding like to be questionable or objectionable, I would encourage you to write a letter that goes both to Representative Framer and the State Board of Education and ODE, because that's, you know, you're advocating now for your constituents. And then the other piece is that if these, you know, whatever the standards are, like we have health standards posted right now, parents are able to go through and look at the items that they are maybe wanting more information about, or maybe that they're not comfortable, and they can ask to have their students opt out. And we, our staff is given direction that as you're approaching a unit that might be, or a topic that might cause some concerns for parents, please give them a heads up and not like, hey, it's Friday, on Monday morning, I'm gonna teach.
Right.
It's several weeks in advance. And that's why we have things posted on the website so that you can kind of see what's coming up and, you know, ask teachers about what's going on.
Is there a system to that communication? Like it's gonna be emailed or, you know, touch the slip to my child to.
Right, so
Supposedly
elementary,
bring home.
yeah, in elementary level, I think it's, I don't know exactly what system they're all using. I know at the high school, they send emails with updates, things like that, make phone calls. So I will make sure that I find out exactly what each building is using to implement that. But, and we have had parents, you know, who decide, you know, I don't want my child in that lesson, and so we create alternative lessons and, you know, activities. They're not punished, they're not, you know.
So
often
then you
trouble.
do send the material, are you sending home the material then? Is each, I mean, like, I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, there's no reason my kindergarten, I mean, I don't have a kindergarten, but if I did, some of this stuff, there's no reason for them to be learning some of this. I would like to know. So are you sending home that material for the parents can sign off on it?
Not sign off on it, so.
I mean, like, if they want to take them out of there.
Yes,
If they
and
wanna
so they would want, if they want to see it, so in our curriculum website, there are often there are hot links that takes you to the actual curriculum or what's being used. So then you can view it, or you can see the title, and then you can request the teacher, can I please view this material? And then it's available for you to view and decide, okay, I'm fine with this, or I'm not fine with this, right? Yeah, and that can happen at any time. It just doesn't have to be on any one particular topic. A parent can go in at any time and request any of this information. And again, with our website being as up to date as it is what we're teaching, it's not hidden, right? It's right out there.
So just real quick, so on this, when we go through this and things like that, just take the kindergarten, it says up at the top, choose at least one of the following. So that, are they saying that you can not, you can just do one of these, or do you do the full entire thing and then opt out of one of those?
Henry, where are you looking?
Right here on the very top of these things.
Page 45.
Oh, 45. Yeah, so what it's saying is that,
So you can choose.
you can
one.
choose, right, because there are multiple opportunities for a student to demonstrate they understand the skill, right? It's not just a one and done. It's,
Right.
you could try this, or you could try that, and any of these 4 choices will demonstrate that your kid knows how to do skill 2 or skill 4.
And and some of these things are, you know, they're the stuff that we probably won't on a kindergarten do. That would be something that the implementees can say, no, we're not gonna do that, right?
Right, as a
District.
as
or
a district, as a curriculum team, we can decide, okay, within our options, what are we going to choose that
Yeah.
most reflects the values of our community and what our parents would like?
And that's
Yeah.
That's that's how I read it, and I thought, okay, well, as long as it's, if I'm understanding it correctly, then I'm good with that.
And that's all we need to do
Yes.
is just be aware of that and then make sure that parents
Yeah,
are.
because there is some really good stuff with that stuff. I
course
mean,
there is. Yeah.
things that kids can really use and things there, but there is some silliness and, well, I don't know if it's
there's-
silliness, but.
Well, there's some political agendas in here, I think, and I just don't want us to have to go down that rabbit hole.
Right,
It's
exactly.
not,
No,
not
100%.
conducive to.
Okay, so we,
Our
as,
community.
as it comes, we'll learn more and take care.
Yep, I'll give you an update when I find out what happened with the state. board.
Thank
Perfect,
you very much.
perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Move on. Consent items.
I'd just like to point out a couple things. You have a revised consent agenda on your desk. There were a couple of increases or adjustments that we had to make to the lunch, for the meal program based on guidance from national standards of food services. And so you have that from Melinda, and then you'll also notice that there's a co-op agreement that we have with Kennedy High School for soccer. Again, their kids are coming over and participating. Their girls soccer team is on our soccer team.
So they come to
come
us.
here.
Oh, very
Yeah.
good.
Because they didn't have enough athletes to be able to field the team. And then you'll notice that in this consent agenda, you're also giving me authority to go ahead and sign off on the vaping lawsuit. And so as shared, we're slated to get about $40,000 from that. It did not cost us 1 penny to participate in that litigation, and that's gonna allow us to update our cameras and install sensors throughout the hallway that and bathrooms that detect vaping as well as conflict. So there are no cameras going in bathrooms. They're sensors. And they do not have video, to be clear. And but it, you know, it helps be proactive in case there's some kind of conflict happening in the bathroom or in an area that's harder to get to.
Found money is always nice. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions on that?
No. Should I
Go ahead and
make a
read it.
motion then?
Let's make the motion.
Okay. I move that the Jervis District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the consent items as listed in Mass 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7.
We have a motion.
91 seconds.
Have a second. All in favor?
I
Aye. Great. Good. Hold on, yeah. Action items.
Yes. So after your presentation or workshop with Mr. Miles from OSBA, the board had asked me to draft some goals for both the board and myself. And so in Kristen's presentation, I had identified the 2 standards that the board in their self-evaluation felt that they needed more work in or maybe could improve on. Standard 2, community engagement, and standard 10, innovation and creativity. I feel like, excuse me, in writing of the goals, the idea that you can put innovation and creativity into standard 2. Like everything you do can incorporate creativity and innovation. So I didn't know that it was necessarily like a standalone goal that you're going to be innovating and creative every time you, I don't know what that looks like. So what I did is, again, this is an action item tonight, but if you decide that you want to have a little bit more time to chew on it, you can postpone it until the October meeting. And so you can see that I've got the first goal, this board will focus on actions and services which increase opportunities for community engagement and communications between the school board and residents of the Jervis School community. And then I listed 2 possible strategies there. That was based on the feedback that you had talked about with Kristen Miles. I went back and listened to the recording. That's some of the things that you were saying.
I think it looks good. Was there anything else or can I make a motion on that?
Well, I think what we would do is you have the 2 goals, and so we can look at both of them first.
Oh, sorry.
So then I highlighted that you're in year 3 of your strategic plan. So Jerry Colonna will be coming back in the spring to see how we've done in the 3-year plan and then help us create a new 3-year plan. And so, making sure that we use that document to guide your work and my work would be important. Otherwise, it's just something that's not really relevant.
Right.
So then if you look at goal 2, the board will use the 4 goals found in the strategic plan to center all policy decisions and budgeting priorities for the purpose of supporting the accomplishments of these goals. You know, we've talked about how the strategic plan is really the foundation of who we are as a district with the mission and the vision statements. And we have changed the strategies behind the goal every year because we get closer to achieving those goals, but we have not changed the goals, which we want to maintain so that we can show consistency. So again, using the idea that you're going to get those quarterly updates, you've already been receiving that, and that you'll have every dedicated time every month, either during your work session or your regular meeting, where we're looking at student data and talking about how achievement is being impacted by what we're doing in teaching and learning. So then I use your goals to create my goals. So I'm gonna facilitate the implementation of all goals in that strategic plan and support the people responsible for monitoring that. And then we're gonna prioritize the improvement of student achievement in the areas of reading and math. My goal number 2 is to support the development of strong administrative leadership who are focused on supporting their building workforce. And then number 3, facilitating the board's progress toward meeting all of your adopted goals. So it is slated for just one action item, but if you want to break it out, you can. If not, you don't have to.
It all looks good to me. That's why I was jumping the gun. I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors, sorry, this was on the OSBA stuff.
At the beginning of the standards.
Thank you. There it is. There it is. Sorry, guys. I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors adopts the superintendent and board goals as shown on agenda item 9-23.8.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Your next action item involves one of you nominating somebody else to be on OSBA's committees.
Negative over here. Thank you.
It's coming up on.
Or
We
you
have no-
choosing not to take
we
any
have
action
no-
on that?
no.
Okay. That was the record.
Appreciate the ask.
Thank you.
Okay. So next we have Ben, Senior Research Group here. Ben, hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you.
And gonna go ahead and get your PowerPoint up, and then Creighton is gonna give you the ability to control your own slideshow.
Okay.
Just a second.
I can also share my screen. That's easier.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you should have slide control at this moment. I can now. I didn't do that. I think we're okay.
What was that?
Nope.
We're getting there.
All
Actually,
right.
we're gonna just like,
You want to just, I will make you a co-host then.
Excellent.
All right, you're driving, sir.
All right. Those are dangerous words. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. It should say Jervis School District Bond. Thank you all for having me here. My name is Ben Patinkin. I am a partner of Patinkin Research Strategies. We were hired by the district to conduct a poll to assess perceptions of the district and of the potential bond that you are all considering. I'll dive in here and just get rolling with these data. Just a quick review of the methodology. This is what we did. So we talked to 300 likely May 2024 voters in the Jervis School District via telephone. We called both landlines and cell phones, and if you had a VoIP line, we could call you there too. We did a mix of those. We used a voter file sample that we purchased from a commercial vendor. And the poll universe was weighted to reflect a likely May 2024 electorate. And we'll talk about what that looks like in a second. Interviews were conducted July 10 through 12, 2023. And the margin of error for the sample as a whole is plus or minus 5.6 percentage points. So when you're looking at these data, and I'm going through the slides, if you're looking at a data point that's for all voters, know that the numbers could be 5.6% above or below that number. And if we start talking about men and women, older, younger voters, the margin of error is going to increase because there's fewer people behind each one of those cells. So just bear that in mind. A quick view of voter demographics. Down this center column here, these are registered voters. This is what the registered voter electorate looks like in your district. So 40 on the voter file, it's 43% male, 45% female, 12% unknown. They're not doing as great a job capturing gender at the state anymore. So we're getting more and more unknowns in that category. They do a good job of capturing age. Younger voters represent 53% of the electorate. Younger is under age 50, older is over age 50. That changes in 6 years. When I hit age 50, it'll go up to age 55. And then seniors represent 17% of a registered voter universe. Caucasian voters are at 56%, Hispanics at 39%, other groups much smaller. And then you also have party registration available on a voter file. So there's 20% of the district is Democratic, 41% are NEVs, no party, and then 33% are Republican. Here's the thing that we all need to be aware of when we're thinking about a bond and discussing, should we put this on the ballot? What will an electorate look like? That sort of thing. An electorate does not typically look like, a registered voter audience. It's going to be older. People over age 50 are far more likely to vote than people under age 50. It's just one of those things. So 66% of the electorate for May is over age 50 as compared to 46% amongst registered voters. That's a big difference. And something to bear in mind, because a lot of these folks are not in your schools. They do not see the problems. They don't show up to these meetings. And so it's harder for them to be aware or know of the challenges faced by a school district and its facilities in particular. The electorate's going to be a little bit more white, a little bit less Hispanic. And you're going to, because it's a May electorate, it's a primary. So you're going to have fewer, independent voters showing up, and you're going to have more Democrats, 7-point increase, and more Republicans, a higher increase there. We are expecting a higher Republican increase because there's nothing that's really exciting going on the Democratic side in the primary in May. However, you will have a contested, well, maybe Republican presidential primary. So there might be more Republicans showing up than normal. So all things to be aware of, we're thinking about what will this electorate look like and how will that impact perceptions of yes and no. So lay of the land. We always ask a question in our surveys to try and understand generally, how do people feel about the facilities? Do they know that there are problems, or do they think the facilities are doing just fine? So in the blue at the bottom here, we ask, do you think the Jervis School District's school buildings are in excellent physical condition, good, fair, or are they in poor physical condition? And this is sort of counterintuitive. We want more people saying they're poor or at least only fair, because it's sort of like that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We want to show that they're broke. So, right now you have 33% of the electorate saying that the school facilities are in a net negative condition. You have 39% who say that they are in a net positive condition. And then you have 28%, these are a lot of your seniors, they're not in your schools, remember, who are saying, I don't know. So 33% is a number that, as we're thinking about this bond, that is an indication to me that you have a lot of education work to do to go out there and make clear the challenges faced by your schools and what that means for your staff and your students. We asked a question about satisfaction with the quality of education, and here it's actually a good finding. You have a majority of your district voters who are primary voters who are saying that they are at least, feeling that the quality of education is good in the district, if not excellent. Only 27% say that the quality of education is only fair or poor. And again, you have around 1 in 5 saying, I don't know. But I would note, and when you look underneath the crosstabs, this is an interesting point, even a plurality of those who send their kids to schools outside the district feel that the quality of education is net positive in the school district. So again, another decent finding there. We asked folks about the satisfaction with how the district spends taxpayer dollars. This is a little bit more narrow, but you still have a 10-point margin where folks are saying they're at least somewhat satisfied with how the district is spending its tax dollars. 34%, 1/3, saying that they feel the district is either they are not too satisfied or not satisfied at all with district spending. And again, around 1 in 5 unsure of their feelings either way. So now we get to perceptions of the bond. So on the right-hand side, you can see the question. We, in all of our surveys, will ask the 10-word caption that we think is most likely to appear on the ballot and the 20-word question that we think is most likely to appear on the ballot should you put this on the ballot. The reason why we do that is because it is the one thing we are certain voters are going to read before they make a decision about voting yes or no. Because as soon as they open up their voter pamphlet, they're going to see the bond caption in question, and they're going to make a decision. Are they going to vote yes or no? If they haven't already made that decision. So here you have what we tested, and it reads like Sanskrit. I apologize for that. It's what every school district faces in the state. It's just the district has a very small number of words that it requires people to use, and the end result is in order to get anything descriptive in there, it has to have a lot of semicolons. But it reads, bonds increasing safety, making critical repairs, upgrading classrooms and facilities. That's your 10-word caption. The question, shall district increase safety and security, repair, update all district schools, issue $25 million in general obligation bonds, audits required? And then we ask, are you going to vote yes or no? What we get to here is, a challenge. You're at 48% yes, 35% no. You're obviously below the 50% mark. You do have nearly 1 in 5, 16% saying that they are undecided at this point in time. That's that green box here on the right. And you have a lot of folks who frankly only have partially filled heads. The intensity of feeling around this bond is very low on either side. Only 15% say that they are voting yes strongly. And then you have another 12% who say they're voting no strongly. The rest are sort of like, I could be persuaded either way, but I'm leaning this way. At 48%, I have seen districts pass where they start at this number. I have also seen them fail. A lot of that is going to be incumbent upon whether or not you are able to pull together a good district level education campaign that goes to all voters. That's what the district does. But then also work with parents and other community members to pull together a persuasion effort that's door knocking, calling folks, really doing everything you can to get out there and get the word out about the challenges faced by your district. The level of that campaign is going to be the make or break decider on whether or not you are able to get past 48 and get to 50+1. And then we get into what you're supposed to say, but we'll get there in a second. A quick look on the demographics here. This is the same question, but you're looking at how different subgroups reacted to that 10-word caption and 20-word question. There's a gender gap. That is normal. We typically see women more supportive of any sort of tax increase, regardless of the jurisdiction, than men. It's just one of those things. I would say both groups right now are still below 50%. So again, an indication that we have there is work to do in terms of an education effort. But again, around a little under 1 in 5 of both groups undecided, open to a conversation. There is not as much of an age gap here. The 60 to 69-year-old subset within this survey were particularly cranky when it came to a tax. They were down by 17 points there, yes, no. But voters under age 60 and voters over age 70 actually very supportive. When this is actually a very nice thing to see. Voters over age 70 providing 55% support. This is one of the subgroups that is most likely to show up and vote in a primary election. To be with a majority with them is encouraging. There is an educational divide. Again, this is something that we typically see. Those with a 4-year degree or more are just generally more supportive of a tax increase than those with a vocational degree or less. Here's another good finding. Your parents are very much with you. 68% of parents are voting yes, 26% no, 6% undecided. That gives you a 42-point margin with them. This is sort of that group that needs to be motivated to start knocking on doors should you decide to place this on the ballot. They are your boosters. They need to go out there and boost. Voters, future parents, as well as those who used to have kids in schools but no longer do, divided, as well as those who have never had kids in school. So again, sort of those subgroups that aren't in your buildings need the most persuasion and most education. Interestingly enough, this is reversed right here than what we normally see. Homeowners are actually more supportive of the bond than our renters. Typically, we see it being the other way around. It's hard for me to say one way or the other what is going on here. We've seen it in a few other districts that we've been polling in over the past few months. It could be a function of inflation in the economy and just how much tighter some of our pocketbooks are getting. But that's a dynamic we see in this survey. We also see Caucasians providing a plurality in support, so 11-point yes margin, but not as supportive as Hispanic voters, where it's 58% voting yes and giving us a 20-point yes margin. So in this slide, I don't know if it's hard for you guys to read, it's sort of green on white, but we ask sort of like a summary statement. Remember, you have the caption, you have the question, and then there's a summary statement in that voter pamphlet that you can typically read. And that is not in Sanskrit. That usually has like a lot of descriptive words, and it provides voters with an understanding, not just of the cost, but also what they're buying. So in this case, it reads, switching gears, let me tell you a little bit more about the bond the district is considering placing on the ballot. The new bond will complete the middle school remodel, including the addition of modern science and math classrooms. It will address critical repairs at all 3 schools, fixing outdated plumbing and electrical systems, and adding HVAC systems for better air quality at the elementary and high school. Every building will receive needed safety and security upgrades. Classrooms will be enhanced to deliver basic modern education, and entrances will be made accessible for students, parents, and staff. In addition, the bond will trigger $4 million from free state matching funds. I'm not certain if that number will be higher now, because I know that the numbers went up, which would be cool. But anyways, these improvements are estimated to cost the average homeowner an additional $1.71 over the current rate. So when we provide folks with the cost and what they're buying, we move up to 50%. Now, this is within the margin of error. So technically speaking, it might not have moved. But it does go from 48 to 50 on the yes side. The no side bounces up by a point, going from 35 to 36, and all of this is coming out of the undecided column, which is what we would expect. What this does indicate, though, in terms of like the low amount of movement, again, a lot of this is going to be incumbent upon really getting folks out there and knocking on doors and doing as much of an education from the district and persuasion from others effort as you possibly can, because it clearly is going to take a lot more than just a general sort of elevator pitch on what people are spending and what they're buying. But here's the thing, when we outline for folks the specifics of what they're buying, and we go through here in the next 2 slides and we outline all the major things that this bond would pay for and ask, do you favor or oppose each one of those individual items? None of them fall below 50% favor. So at a minimum, that all the different things that you want to achieve through this bond are popular with a majority. Now, this particular slide looks at those who favor the options, favor each one of these things strongly and favor it not strongly, and then you get the net. So you can do the math on the opposed side. But as you can see here, all of these top tier bond aspects are focusing on a lot of the basics. So basic repairs, conducts needed repairs and maintenance to all 3 district schools, such as replacing rusty piping, repairing leaking roofs, updating electrical wiring. 63% of voters say do it. Electrical, adds additional outlets, improving wiring, modern technology, equipment in the middle and high school, gets to 61%. Talking about installing an air conditioning system at the elementary and high school, gets to 60. Fire safety gets to 59. Funding the development of modern math and science classrooms at the middle school gets to 57%. And then expanding the middle school, doing the phase 2 there, gets to 56%. So all of these extraordinarily popular, passing the majority. And I'd note that when we're thinking about education, one of the things that really is important is the fire safety piece. We don't just ask for direct questioning. We also do some regression modeling, which helps us understand if people hear this thing a lot, will it move them towards a yes? Based on the regression modeling here, if they know more about the fire safety updates that will be conducted, they will be more likely to vote yes. And here's the second tier items. And again, they all test to go above a majority. So talking about ADA accessibility, 55%. Basic safety items, 54%. Refinancing an existing loan, 54%. Honestly, I've never seen a discussion about refinancing a loan test above a majority. You do that here, which is impressive. And then improving parking lots, exterior walkways at every school. Again, this typically tests in the gutter at other school districts. You're at 51% here. You have voters who are supportive of the concept of what you want to achieve for each and every piece of this bond, including things that traditionally I don't see test well. And that's a nice finding to see. It's an indication of, again, if you build it, they may come. So perceptions of dissolving the district. So we're not having this conversation in a vacuum here. It's not just the bond. It's what the district might need to look into should this bond fail. So we asked a question, given the Jervis School District's ongoing challenges, finding the necessary funding for school repair and improvement, the district is considering a possible solution involving dissolving the district and then being absorbed by neighboring school districts like Silver Falls, Woodburn, and Mount Angel. This would likely lead to the closure of local school buildings and increases in homeowners' property tax rates on an average of $2.50 per thousand. Having heard this, do you support or oppose dissolving the Jervis School District? You have 37% who say support, and you have 40% who say oppose. You have another, again, 1 in 5, they're not involved in the school, so this is their first introduction really to this conversation, saying, I don't know. What's interesting here is, and this is another indication, I think, of, if there is a conversation about the potential need to actually consider dissolution, folks might become more animated as a part of the bond process. You have, in terms of the intensity of feeling, 28% oppose this concept strongly as opposed to 13% who support it. These folks right here, that 28%, if they know this is something that is a potential option in the future, they're probably more likely to be animated during the course of a campaign. So we asked it in its own, and then we asked it sort of like there's a choice here. So we framed up this particular question at the start by saying, our children's classrooms have not had a meaningful investment in nearly 30 years. Our current school buildings not only do not meet modern education standards, but also have many critical repairs that need to be made to ensure that schools are safe for students and staff. The district has identified 2 potential solutions to this problem. And then for these next 2 items here, we rotated them, meaning participants in the survey had an even chance of getting the dissolve option first or the bond option first. We want to make sure that there's no order bias. So for the bond option, it reads, one solution is passing a bond in order to update our schools, which would cost the average homeowner $1.71 per $1,000 of assessed value. And then the other option was, one option is dissolving the Jervis School District. The current district would be divided up and incorporated into neighboring districts. Taxpayers would then pay the tax rate for their new district, which would increase property taxes on average by $2.50 per thousand. And then everyone was asked again, having heard this, which option would you prefer? In this situation, you have 53% of primary voters saying that they would prefer passing the bond. You have 12% saying they would prefer dissolving the district. You have 14% who said, I don't like either option. And then you have another 20% saying unsure. This 53% is above a majority. This is like the highest you get throughout the course of the survey in terms of support for the bond. So it's an indication of when you hold a conversation about the bond, not in a vacuum, but you make it clear that the district is actually having to, in a situation where it must consider dissolution, you can get to a higher number because folks don't want that. They want to maintain what they've got. Where we finish. At the end of the survey, after providing all this information, dissolution, bond, what the bond pays for, other items, we asked a series of questions to try to get an understanding of what are the biggest takeaways about the bond itself. And so the question was down here. It's on how well does it describe the bond? Does it describe the bond very well, pretty well, not too well, or not well at all? The blue is the net well. The red is not well. You have 61% at the end of the survey who are aware and believe that the bond will increase student and staff safety. You have majorities actually saying all of these trade items are descriptive of the bond. At the top, addressing critical repair needs, updating classrooms, improving outdated classrooms, providing teachers with the tools they need to ensure students are getting the basics, accountable to taxpayers, and even at 52% necessary. This is another one of those indicators right there for us. The fact that you are able to get the word necessary after a lot of education to 52% is a good finding. It's above a majority again. We tested a number of negative traits as well. The highest testing one is we'll put a strain on seniors and struggling families living on a fixed income. That gets to 52%. But I will say when we had a discussion with respondents about the grant program that you have for low-income members of the community to help offset this property tax, that tested extraordinarily well. If you were to move forward with this, obviously I'd highly suggest you continue to include that as part of your bond package and make that something that voters are aware of. Because I think it would dispel some of this concern. Because the fact of the matter is when we actually ask them about themselves, something you can't afford right now, only 46% of voters say that that is actually the case. 48% say no, it is not. Not a priority right now. You have 50% of your electorate saying that's not true. It is a priority. Will lead to more wasteful government spending. The numbers start getting, the difference there gets more stark. Only 38% say that that's descriptive of the bond. 50% say it is not. And then another thing, we should let the bond fail and dissolve the district. 55% of respondents say, no, that's not descriptive of the bond. We should not do that. Here's our last slide. This sort of like sums it all up. When we have the bond conversation and ask how you're going to support the bond in a vacuum without having a discussion about dissolution, by the end of the survey, we get to 50% yes. Now remember, margin of error is plus or minus 5.6 percentage points. So, it could be 5 higher or 5 lower. This is going to be a tight race. And it's, again, a lot of this is going to depend upon the level of education you are able to put out there and the strength of the conversation you're able to have with voters. However, again, I want to reiterate, when you hold this conversation and make voters aware that the district does have to consider this as an option, dissolution, given the state of your buildings and the financial condition of the district, you get to 53%, which again is above the 50. I think this is a critical piece of the conversation that people need to know is something that you are all thinking about and have to consider. So with that, that ends this slide presentation. I'll leave this up if there are specific questions, but pass it back to you, Dandy. I don't know how you want to proceed from here.
So board, did you have questions for Ben?
No,
No.
pretty laid out, just start, right? What we thought, yep, what we wanted to see.
I mean, it's what I figured.
Yep.
So.
And I have a question on the slide where you talked about the 28% who strongly oppose the closing of the district. Do you have the demographics on who those people are?
I do. Hang on a second. I have to bring that up.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I mean, I had it in here and then I took it out because it cluttered the slide up and I didn't want to get bogged down in that. But hang on one moment. I can get there. One moment. Here we are. Most likely to oppose dissolving the district, they are current parents, which is an important piece actually to be aware of. Your parents don't want this. They want your school district to stick around. So that's an important finding for you all to be considering about. Again, they will be your boosters, especially if they know that this is something that you have to consider and something they clearly like is going to go away. Homeowners are also likely to be a part of this group. Younger voters, which makes sense. They're your parents. They're under age 50. They're the people that are in your schools, as well as men. And frankly, it's actually an interesting finding. It's both Democrats and Republicans. So this is not a partisan issue when people are forced to actually consider potentially dissolving the district. You have folks from either side of the aisle, which is something that you do not see a lot of in this world today, saying, raising their hand and saying that they have a problem with that. So yeah, does that answer your question, Danny?
It does, thank you.
What have we, I mean, I'm just curious, since he's worked with other districts, what has he seen to get our community engaged?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of what have I seen to get the community engaged?
Yes, so like when you've worked with other districts looking at this kind of information, what have you seen that those districts have done to get community engagement, to get them more engaged in this process?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, every district is different. You know, I know that it can be a challenge at times. Frankly, I think having this conversation about the potential that the board may have to consider dissolution, I don't think it's a threat, but just as like it is one of the things that needs to be considered given the state of the facilities. It's certainly something that will motivate them based on the data that I just provided you. And I think it's, you know, so it's like going out and having conversations with those PTAs, getting PTAs or PTO, whatever it is in the district, to then go out and have conversations with parents. If you're going to be improving specific things like athletic facilities or you know, clubs or anything that could benefit from any of the improvements, talking with those parents can generally get folks motivated. There's a fun anecdote from another district where I had even worse numbers, similar size district, but they had a swim team. And that swim team was going to get a new pool. They've been begging for a pool for like 50 years. I think the existing one was being held together with like gum and duct tape. But they went out and knocked on pretty much every single door. And I don't think they actually spent a lot of time talking about pools because, you know, pools are a very niche sort of thing. They talked about what the rest of the bond would pay for, but they were huge boosters because they benefited in a significant way from the passage of the bond and they succeeded. So it's sort of like those conversations and that consideration that I would say you would want to be having with your parent groups as a way to see what you can do to try and get them motivated. Because, you know, again, if this doesn't pass, those parent groups may have to go away. So.
So Ben's provided us with the slide deck. I'll post that on the website for our community and then Ben, I'm assuming that as we kind of dive into this and figure out next steps, if I need to have more tutoring on understanding the data, you'll be available for me.
Yeah, and the polling pays for me to be around through election day and afterwards if you still want to talk to me. So yeah, I'm here for if you need me.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ben?
No.
Great.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Good work.
Thank you. So if I leave, I'm not gonna like turn this thing off, right?
You'll be responsible for closing the whole move. We've removed permission from you. You can't do anything now.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
So a lot of information there. I think that, one of the things that I would recommend to you is that we start right away with some listening sessions. And you have a board work session scheduled for October 5th. I'm recommending that we turn that into a listening session. I'm recommending that we do a listening session October 4th and October 5th. Provide dinner, childcare. The one night will be Spanish translation. One night will not be. It would be a facilitated conversation where we give people information about the previous bond, what we're faced with. They would do small group work. There would be some specific guiding questions. I have a letter that is ready to go out tomorrow, which will include where on this recording they can find this report, how long it was, and it's going to be prepared to go out to every registered voter and every parent. So we've already got that set up. It'll be mailed Monday. Right, Sandra?
That's the goal.
Yeah, Monday. So that's what I'm suggesting. Not that you hit the ground saying, we're for sure doing X or for sure doing Y, but sharing this information as Ben presented it, and then getting
Any questions?
questions answered, getting their priorities.
I'm down for that. Whatever we can get people to want to be more involved, whether they want to say something bad, and, they don't feel that it should come, but at least we can confront them at that point. We can, not confront them, but answer their questions. Think, come to the good side.
So I have a question in regards to the bond and our now roof issue, in that obviously it can't be repaired. So is that something that we would consider adding to this?
Yes, I would say that any bond project, I mean, the idea is that we will, in these listening sessions, and then at the end of October, do site tours where we do more listening, and like, now that you've seen the building, here's a QR code, what do you think? We would spend October and November gathering all of that data on what they're prioritizing. But I mean, I would say for sure the high school roof has to be at the top of the list, as well as elementary HVAC system. So, right there, you've just accounted for $5 million.
It adds up.
So we will be able to, the Awesome Grant goes up to 6 million. So we can now, let's say if you ask the voters to look at a smaller amount, maybe we do it in phases, maybe we approach it in phases. You ask them for 12 or 13 million dollars, then you get 6 from the state, and now you're at 18 or 19 million dollars, which would not get obviously everything, because the first bond was $31 million, second ask was 24. So now we're down to,
But everything else has increased.
yes, it's true,
Yeah. We're not gonna get
it's true.
much.
So
But I mean,
Right.
these sessions
It's
will be
start.
great
Great.
in hearing of what our community is seeing as the focus and the priority, and
Yeah.
going from there.
100%.
I mean, I just think there's a lot of, when he talks about our parents needing to be involved. When you look at the number of people in town that voted, our parents did not vote. They did not show up at the poll, at the vote in May. And so it is going to take a lot of effort to get people to knock on the doors and do the education.
And did we do any research as to why we didn't have such a good turnout of in-town voters?
That was not one of the polling questions that he asked, like, did you vote in the previous bond or did you not? He didn't ask that question. I cannot answer that for sure. I would suspect that fewer people turned out in this election overall than the previous election, because it was not a big May primary. right? Last year, there was more representatives, state representatives, all that being elected, so,
Did we offer, a translation type to sit down with, families to
Oh, yeah.
review the bond?
yes.
We did, okay.
We did a voter registration drive, we had we did mailings to every single household multiple times.
Did tours.
Mhm.
I guess for myself, I don't quite understand what else there is that we can possibly do that we haven't already actually been trying. So for me, it's more, this is so much deeper than just the bond. The apathy in this town is just so huge. I'm not sure how we can get people really engaged. I guess, you did the tours, we did the going and asking the different churches if we could do the presentations, having people involved in the committees, doing, the marketing, putting together, I'm not quite sure, like, we did it twice, so now here we are and we're in worse shape right now because of the roof. So it is getting down to the point where people are gonna have to make a decision about what's gonna happen. We don't have the money to fix the roof, really. We don't have all of these things, and as far as just going on the website and looking on there too, there, in that, I don't know if we can pull it up right now, but where folks can go and actually see all kinds of information. I mean, I felt like the website was really great in the fact that it had so much stuff regarding the bond. I felt like we had the newsletter that was coming out, where we were getting that information out too. I mean, there's just so much, and I'm just kind of wondering,
Well,
what other people can we tap into? This is a
Right.
small place,
I
man.
know.
Everybody kind of knows each other. So at this point, I'm at a
I mean, I think it's
standstill.
good though that it's like a definite, like, it's either we stay afloat or we're not. I feel like that's a pretty clear statement as where we're at right now in regards to the bond, not just like, we want improvements. It's like, we either get improvements and we stay afloat or we don't and we're done. So, like you said, I don't know how much clearer than that
That's right. Right,
that can get, so.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, let's see how the listening sessions
yes,
go.
obviously.
And,
yes.
I meet with the communication team tomorrow, so the ESD is coming in. And, another communication specialist to talk about like how do we engage people? And create that capacity for the conversation. And so there will definitely be more conversations to come. You don't have to decide right until the January board meeting. Because you don't have to file the paperwork until February. So you've got some time. But it would be important that we continue the conversation in the next 8 weeks. All right, well, I'm gonna have that letter go out soon. And I would ask, I'll email you guys independently to see who can attend which meetings. I think it would be important if you can attend to go, obviously have to not have quorum. But we'll put that out there.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Okay, and then that pretty much covers the bond update as well on discussion item 9.2. 9.3, we went to city council meeting a couple of weeks ago to talk about the drainage issues here at the corner of our driveway by the old daycare building to the student services building. I also pointed out that drainage issues were occurring on the other side of the street that's right next to the bus loading zone. In terms of major puddles, people unable to walk through the area. And then in front of the high school, elementary school, where they just completed the Safe Routes to School project, because the city didn't quite have enough money to fully implement what the architect had recommended. It's now created another issue with regard to the pooling, and the sidewalk is not really usable when it's heavy rain in front of the elementary building. So They were not aware of all of those issues, which, you know, it's not been raining, so I can
Right.
understand why they're not aware of it. But this is a conversation that I've been having with the city since I first got here 5 years ago. So, the interim city manager and the public works person are coming over on Monday to talk about another Safe Routes to Schools grant that might be able to fix the whole thing. And it is supposed to start raining Saturday, so maybe by the time we do that on Monday, they'll see what we're talking about. But, I mean, the thing I'm gonna point out to them is that you don't get a Safe Routes to School grant if there's no school district. So you need to
Yeah, that's very good.
partner with us. And it's not something that's gonna be fixed, you know, at first part of November. It's gonna be something that happens later in the spring or summer. And so maybe if the bond passed, we could tie it all together and it would be great to be able to do that project. So it was a good conversation. They were receptive, so I appreciated that.
Wonderful.
Stipends for board members. So I gave you the information about you all can have a stipend, but then right after I sent out the board packet, we got an email from OSBA saying, hold on, the Oregon Ethics Commission is not sure this law is ethical. So sorry, nothing, you get nothing. But I have no idea what the Ethics Commission is going to say. So there's no sense in even discussing it and wasting any energy on it if we're just gonna turn around and say you can't have it.
Well, it doesn't matter because we would never do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I
We
mean?
don't have it in the budget.
Yeah,
Right,
like,
that's true.
like, it's not even a
Yeah.
possibility, so no.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking that if there was a way to have, you know, I think I mentioned this a couple of times, meetings before, if you could then donate it back and that's how you could create your senior scholarship fund, since
Yeah.
they're not doing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And
PSB
that
scholarship
That would be,
anymore.
that would be a
Yes.
great place.
But, I don't know, I don't even know if that's possible, so.
But yeah, but see, you're always thinking of stuff. I love that. Yeah. Where I'm like, yeah. Like, wait, let's make it work for us. I think that's it,
That
no?
is it.
All right,
Looks like it.
dude.
We don't have no. Yeah. Right,
Get us out of here, dude.
adjourned. Very good. Thank you. Good job, guys.
Right?